G'day folks, this is most must see and subscribe to going here on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. You know, even during Fursuit this week, or last weekend, or whatever, which I mean this video have been filming and all that kind of stuff, I sort of feel a bit down and all that kind of stuff, and from missing out on Fursuit, because it's something that, because of my stupid time management and all that kind of stuff, it's one of the very conventions that I wanted to go to as my yearly interstate trip. And what really comes worse is just brings me down. It just brings me, you know, very sad and upset and all that kind of stuff, because it's my stupid fault. And sometimes many of us have ended up being into this predicament, which we ended up being con deprived and all that kind of stuff. There's a furry convention that us furries would usually make it as a yearly tradition ever since day dot. And that is the reason why that this video is roughly around, and from my experience I have come up with some possible ways that I can help, that you can basically cope with in your depravity or con depression. As you already know, that this is kind of a list that I wanted to make that's really, how can I say, what I usually do in my experience and all that kind of stuff, and I wanted to share that with you. What a video. The first thing that I wanted to point out as a way that would get you to cope with this sort of con avoidance, and I'm just going to start with why am I like that, you know, because I know for sure that I wanted to go to Furry. Like I said, I made a video and all that kind of stuff, even though it has taken a huge toll on me. So the first thing that I wanted to point out is, to combat this, is maybe number one, what I would like to do is, yes, we may be typing, I mean, I'm pretty much the type of person that likes to go keyboard mode and all that kind of stuff, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad, I'm so pissed off that this con is happening without me, and all that kind of stuff. I tend to be a bit upset and all that kind of stuff. That I like about going to furry conventions is that I like to mingle with other furries and all that kind of stuff. The ideas that I could probably put into my mind is, one of those alternatives is to at least organise a bit of a meet with your friends and all that kind of stuff, who they themselves is not going to a certain furry convention, like, you know, just organise an impromptu meet with your friends and all that kind of stuff. Now, the thing about it is that I know how hard it is to make up a meet, make up a furry meet, because it's all the organisation. You don't only have to have the time to cater for yourself, but you just have to cater for your friends that you're inviting to a small group outing. Like, for instance, it could be a local park, could be at your home or whatever. Maybe just have a bit of a party somewhere at your place and all that kind of stuff. Some sort of costume party. Maybe that you wanted to go out to a cosplay outing or something like that. Maybe that there's like an alternate event that you could possibly go to during these times, and just to explore the furry fan, and be your furry self and all that kind of stuff. Say, for instance, that there's no small cosplay convention that you could possibly go to. Maybe that you could just end up putting together a bit of a meet with your friends and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's very difficult it is very difficult, because there could be other reasons why your friends going to this certain furry convention that you wanted to go to, because not only that you're like me and you're like having been this stupid, like with your stupid selves, allegedly. I mean, that's how I sort of feel about not registering for Fursuit in time and until all this type of thing, these sort of things sell out. But there's a bit of a disadvantage to that, because organising a fur meet with your friends and all that kind of stuff can be very, very hard, you know, and not many of us have our friends that live much more far away from us, or even like in our hometowns and all that kind of stuff. So my other suggestion that you probably would be thinking about is, well, what if you can't find, what if you don't have any friends, you don't have any meets to go to or something like that, or if you have no one to organise it with you and that, or whatever, and if your friends are busy. And say for instance that you are a sports fan, you know, could be possibly basketball, rugby league, AFL, soccer, you know, anything that has a sports mascot, anything that has people dressing up as furry mascots, you know. I mean, the other option that you could possibly do is to, and despite that not many of our hometowns have amusement parks, you know, we may not have Five Flags or Chuck E. Cheese or anything that has like mascots in that, or even a theme park, or the nearest theme park is like, say for instance, hundreds of miles away, you know. So my other suggestion is, what you could do is to see if there's like a game on that you would like, you know. It doesn't have to be a game involving your favorite teams and all that kind of stuff. It could be going to a neutral game. Maybe that there's teams out there that has a furry mascot, because what mascots and fursuits have in common is that they're all of furry characters most of the time. Mascots are basically and allegedly paid fursuiters, you know. They're paid to wear these costumes and all that kind of stuff, wear these mascot costumes at games, to maybe as meet and greet with fans, maybe to hype up the game a bit. So maybe, for instance, but that they don't normally always just going into the stage and that, maybe, I don't know, just maybe you could just like, you know, have a meet and greet with the mascot, maybe. What I could possibly do is to go even for a sport. If you're not really into sport, there's no harm into going to a game, just for that sort of, just to have that feeling that you actually are at a furry convention. Because like what I said again, just because that you're not really a fan of sport doesn't really mean that you don't like going out to a sporting match and going to a neutral game and just be there for a mascot, and that just for some, have your daily dose of fursuit spotting. Hell, do one better, and that is providing that if you have a handler with you, what I'm suggesting is maybe that you can, and if you have a fursuit, maybe that you can just even dress up as in your fursuit, and who knows, maybe that you probably could, I don't know how some sporting venues or even sporting competitions would allow people to dress up in fursuit or even have a mask. I don't know about, I know that there are possible dangers into fursuiting at a sporting event. Like for instance, for many occasions and all that kind of stuff, I was at an F3 derby and that, or probably soccer and that, I ended up fursuiting at the Jets games and that. I just thought, well, it probably would be a lot more fun and cute. Like I said, I ended up promoting a small comic book convention at an F3 derby game between, like I said, the Newcastle Jets and all that kind of stuff. And yes, there are some risks and all that kind of stuff that you would have to, that's sort of involved in that. Whether it's, you know, drunk, like, non-furries tend to harass you and that. You could be mistaken as the opposition's mascot, which is probably even worse. But at the same time, a sporting event is most likely the nearest sort of outcome, or the nearest thing that, in a way, be treated like if you're going to Disneyland or Universal Studios or Five Flags or whatever. Or is it Four Flags? I don't know. But the downside to that is those things could actually cost money. Even basically sometimes with fuel going down, like with fuel, maybe with money and all that kind of stuff. You know, so that's if you have like enough money to end up, if you have money to spare or something like that, you know. And I know for sure that, and who knows, you basically would be really into that sport, you know, if you just go there. Maybe you might have a team in that sort of league. But what if that you don't have the money to go to these things? Maybe perhaps that you need a job. Or if you can't find a job, if you don't even have a job, or if you can't work, maybe that you need a bit of a distraction to let your mind off these things. Just something for your mind to focus on. So yes, probably having a job would be one of these things, you know, where you get more money in that, and you know, you probably would have at least that you have something to focus on and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes your job can be a bit too stressful and all that kind of stuff, and it just sort of builds you up more, negative, with your negative emotions and all that kind of stuff. It just builds and builds and builds, and you just end up going like, ah! RIP headphone users. So what I'd like to do is to think of other distractions and all that kind of stuff, you know. Maybe that you would try to find a bit of a hobby and all that kind of stuff, you know. Like maybe playing a video game, or better yet, you know, probably just make fursuits, or probably make art or whatever, just whatever makes you happy, and whatever, you know, just do your favorite things basically, you know. But that may not be always the case, because, you know, because with me basically, for instance, that my mind ends up being fixated on this, on Furry as well, even though that I was a bit upset and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I had a good enough distraction or whatever, because it's in there like mentally and all that kind of stuff. But I've been told that having a distraction, you know, having a hobby, hell, even, I don't know, make up a homebrew D&D campaign even, you know, and get your friends to play Dungeons and Dragons, you know. And there's another alternative thing that you could possibly do, is if you really, really crave your furry fix and all that kind of stuff, then maybe watch, just binge on Netflix maybe, streaming service. Well, if you really wanted to crave your furry fix anyway, then maybe you could go and look for furry streamers perhaps. You know, there's a lot of furry streamers and that. Maybe that you might want to go on VR chat even, and chat to, and just meet some other furries there on VR chat. But like I said, not many of us have access to VR chat or any sort of virtual reality. Not to mention that not many of us have our own VR model. But that's, or even the access to the computer. Maybe that you may not have a computer, but you have some way, some means of connecting to the internet. Whether it's on your mobile devices, whether it's on your smart TVs, or on your game consoles and all that kind of stuff. If you are watching this video and all that kind of stuff, maybe that would be a bit of a start, you know. The point is that maybe just look for some cute furry content or something like that, that really, that you really do like, and that, you know, us furries have like positive shorts and all, like positive videos, you know, something that's more uplifting and more positive and all that kind of stuff. Hell, maybe that after this video, you know, maybe that you might want to consider, you know, subscribe to this video and say thanks, Bruzo, for providing me a bit of an uplifting, positive content that would probably help you or something, you know. And if you really do like this video, then please leave a like button and all that kind of stuff. And you know, Bruzo would be one of those videos. I mean, one of those channels that you could just have a look at. And if you have subscribed to this video and all that kind of stuff, hi, I'm Bruzo, by the way. So this is just some of the some of the advice videos that I wanted to put in together. So like I said, if you do just, you're more than welcome to comment down other ways that you could, that has, you know, and maybe sometimes that you end up, maybe that you may not be this type of person in that, but maybe that you are this type of person that would say like, oh, there's no use bitching about it now because I won't even go to these cons, like go to any of these cons. So yes, I know, but either way, as a person that has not much income, that is struggling at the moment, you know, and being poor AF, I know if you are the type of person that is really mad and really down and really upset that you are the person that you are not coming to this to a furry convention that you wanted to go to, just know this, that you are not the only one. Like I said, there's a lot more ways, there's a lot more reasons why people don't go to furry conventions. Maybe it's not their thing, you know. Maybe that there's some things that's coming into their way, even, you know, or maybe to the point that they simply can't afford to go to a certain convention this year. So it's just that sometimes it's easier to accept that. But if it's something that most of your friends end up, that you feel that you always tend to go to every year, and especially if it's a convention that is very closest to you, that you can go, but at the same time you just can't. Don't feel that you're alone. Anyway, I'm going to ramble on, and I'm just going to finish off this rambling alone. You know, it's very unscripted. I just hope that helps. You know, or maybe that I'm the only one that's, you you know, that I'm making the video for, but most likely not. You know, so if you really do enjoy this video, make sure that you press the like button. Maybe consider subscribing to this video again, and if you have, thank you so much. You're all amazing. And if you have as well, make sure that you press the bell icon so you will be the first one to know when my next video is on, and also turn your notifications on your devices. If you want to friend me on PSN or give me money or something like that, or with other social media, friend me on social medias, the links to that is on the description down below. If you wanted to friend me on PSN or play with me on PSN, like game with me or whatever, just look out for me with my gamer tag of Bruzo 21. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that I would provide some help to you and all that kind of stuff, or probably that you would enjoy watching this video and that. They might just give you some bit of ideas and that. And yeah, just add some other ideas of what you could do to, you know, to combat this depravity and that. So anyway, I hope you have an awesome day, and as always, may His guide you all, and bye for now.